A very good evening to everyone and a very warm welcome to the distinguished speakers and to all participants at today's exclusive session. 28 Indian startups have already made it to the Unicorn Club and more are expected to be riding in. CII, in its continuous endeavor to support and nurture industry, has been closely working with startups ecosystem. Last year, CII, under its Future Business Group initiative, launched this Global Unicorn series to highlight the journey of a startup to unicorn and to inspire many young entrepreneurs. Today, we are starting with the first session of the Global Unicorn Series 2.0. But before we begin, I would like to briefly introduce our speakers to all the participants. We have with us Mr. Manoj Kohli, an industry stalwart and is the chairman of CI Future Group. Plus, he is also the country head of SoftBank India. Mr. Kohli, through SoftBank, is supporting over 20 startups in India. We also have with us the young and dynamic Vidit Aatrey, who is the co-founder and CEO of India's largest social commerce company, Meesho. Vidit is an IIT Delhi alumnus and has earlier worked with ITC and in Movie before founding Meesho in late 2015. Without taking much of the time, may I now request Mr. Manoj Kohli to take the session forward, please. Over to you, Mr. Kohli.
Thank you, Ankur. Thank you for your sharp introduction. I'm happy that you didn't make it long because I think we are here to listen to Vidit. That's more important. So thank you to you and welcome, Vidit. This is a very, very important time for India as well as Indian young entrepreneurs like you who are hungry and who are really very, very capable to conquer the domestic market and international market. And I'm so delighted to introduce you to many other entrepreneurs who will listen to you today, because I think we need to encourage and nurture many more Vidits in this country, so that not only social commerce but many other sectoral businesses pick up in this decade. This decade, in my personal view, will be golden decade for India, and youngsters like you will lead this decade, lead the country in this decade. So great to have you around. Vidit, you want to say something in the beginning?
First of all, thanks so much, Manoj, for having me here, making me part of the first episode that we're doing for this series. I'm super grateful, and thanks for saying all those kind words.
No. They are not kind. They are very appropriate for young leaders like you. I'm so happy finally our young leaders coming from small towns, villages are getting global recognition, and your company now getting close to 5 billion value. I think is one of the leading social commerce companies in the world now. So anyway, we'll not talk about that today. We'll talk more about you personally and about your family, about your struggles, about your successes, etc., etc. Tell me, when you were a child, let's say 8 or 10 years of age, what was your ambition at that point?
Yeah, so and I think before I answer that question, let me give some context, right? Like give my background. So I was born in Meerut. So my family comes from UP. My dad is from Hapur there. My mom is from Meerut. I was born there and moved here. My family on both sides, which is mom and dad, is a family of farmers. So like everyone is still doing farming. A lot of my cousins do farming, right? So on both sides, like family of farmers. For the first time, someone went outside that village and came to Delhi, and that's where I was brought up. I think it was like I was brought up in like Pitampura, Rohini, which is not Delhi, and I think it's a very different part of the country. I would say it's a very middle class part of Delhi, right? Like, and you see kind of people around you, and your ambitions are also built around it. My dad worked with the Delhi government, and all my life when I was growing up, my dad used to tell me like बड़े होके कुछ करना है तो IAS बनना है, right? Like so, like any other UP parent. I think that's what was told to me. And for a long time, I used to think that's the big thing that I should do. I should keep
Because
it.
your dad, sorry to interrupt, your dad and my dad may have talked to each other. Because my dad was also wanting me to become an IAS. And because that time, I think IAS was a very big thing.
Correct,
And
correct.
by the way, we have another commonality. I started my career in Merit
Oh, wow. I didn't
with
know this.
with with Dorala Sugar Works, Dorala and Mawana, because I was in DCM and I was posted first to sugar. And Dorala, as you know, was the biggest sugar mill in those times, 10,000 tons per day. So both of us are Merit guys.
So let me add a very interesting anecdote to this. So because both my mom and dad's family is farmers, and most of what they used to grow was sugarcane. And once that was harvested, we will take it on the car and go to these mills in that area, Modi Nagar and all that, right? So I still remember I used to kind of go with that and see what's happening. It was so much fun.
You know, within a month, I was posted to the weighbridge of Dorala, sorry, of Mawana, weighbridge, where the sugar cane is, weighed when it comes into the mill. And there are buggies, long queue of
Correct.
buggies.
I was sitting on one of them. Like that's what I'm saying. So I used to come and I was sitting on one of them waiting. And I have seen that so many times. Crazy.
Fantastic.
Like there's so many common elements. So yeah, like so I think that's the kind of family I come from. And my dad, because he worked in the Delhi government and your superior is always an IAS officer. That's what my dad wanted me to be. So I think for a very long time I was brought up with this dream. If you do well, you should prepare for that. It's tough. Like I don't think my dad ever believed I can crack, but he wanted me to at least try for it once. And that's how I grew, by the way. So most people around me in that part of Delhi were either, like for example, working for the government or were running their own small factories, small shops, and selling products there. I hadn't seen any third profession. So when I was growing up, I used to think there were only two options: either you take a government job or you run a shop and you sell products from that shop. And I think a lot of that context changes when I graduated. Like to be very frank, until then, I used to think if I do well, I will go and prepare for an IS for civil services. But when I went to IIT, that's where I kind of graduated from. I think then my exposure changed substantially. Like I had never seen things that I saw there, like the kind of things your seniors can do, people who had graduated from that college. Your peer network comes from like so many parts of the country and they talk about what kind of things they have seen. I think the first 1 year, every single day was a shock and surprise to me. Every single day.
So you went beyond Merit and Pitampura.
Exactly. I think that's what happened. Like I suddenly got exposed to the real world. And then I realized like they're not only two professions, which is you either work with the government or run a shop. There's so many things that you do. And and I think that's when the whole thing started. And to be very frank, after that, the journey that I've had has been very different. Like after that, it's just been about exposure to professions, to ambition, to kind of things that you can do. And that's what started to shape me. So if I go back to college, what was I thinking? I used to see all like you're inspired by the seniors that you see. Like so I was in a hostel and I will see like some of the seniors will come back who are working either in consulting firms or are working with banks, right? And investment banks, and they'll talk about all the cool things that they're doing, the staying in five-star hotels, doing this and that. For the first, I think 1.5 year, that became my new ambition. Okay, hey, maybe we will figure this out. And then I got introduced to all of the seniors. I think it was the same time. So I was at IIT from 2008 to 2012. And the same time, a lot of seniors from college were starting up companies. So Flipkart was started by two IIT Delhi folks. And I still remember people used to talk about my hostel because they were from the same hostel that, hey, they were there. So very soon, exploring entrepreneurship also became one of the options that you can think about. I think that's the evolution of ambition that happened as you get more and more exposure to the kind of thing that happen in the world.
But tell me, in that time when you heard about Flipkart entrepreneurs coming from IT and your hostel, actually, that was fantastic because if they can do it, I can do it.
Correct.
But what kind of successful entrepreneurs you came to know directly or indirectly in that period?
Yeah. So, and I think that has happened over time, right? So one is when I was at IIT, I still remember at that time Zomato was called Foodie Bay, and they used to come to our college and like distribute pamphlets, and we used to kind of see them. And then the next few years, I just kept seeing them grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, and then realize like how can you can just have an idea, you can get access to capital, and you can create so much impact across the country. I think that was inspirational. As I said, Flipkart was inspirational. After college, I first worked for a couple of years with ITC, which is like a very old company. And then I went on to work with InMobi for a year, right? So the reason I went to work for InMobi is because it was the first unicorn then. So the only like reasonably large tech company that you could be part of. Everyone talked about the new tech wave that was coming. So I thought like,
Luckily, SoftBank had funded in movie also. We
correct.
funded. I think Naveen was one of our first entrepreneurs we funded in India.
Exactly. And that's what I did. So I went there and then I saw Naveen, I saw all the other people who were building this. And then you start to get this feeling, right? Like all of these people are not very different from you, right? It's not that they have some access to something that I can't get access to. It's not that they have some understanding of business that I don't have access to, right? Like suddenly all of this starts to feel very real. That if they can do it, then why can't I? And I think that's the biggest thing. Like once you start to feel that you can do something, then you start trying towards it. I think that's what happened. I understood the kind of technology people were using, what kind of people were working around this. And I think by the end of the year, I worked there for a year only. And I think at the end of the year, I was already kind of reaching out to all of my friends who are techies, who were coders, and asking them, hey, would you want to start up with me? Because I was very clear. I think at that time, I got very, very high clarity in my mind that this is something that I want to try at least in my lifetime, right? Like it doesn't work, it's
So
fine.
that was where the seeds of entrepreneurship
Correct.
were really sown, and so that means Flipkart first, so Bansals, and then Zomato, which is DP, and then InMobi, which is Naveen, and I'm sure some other entrepreneurs must have influenced you. But what kind of entrepreneurial passion, what kind of business did you have in mind? What kind of product did you have in mind at that time?
Yeah, and I think I'll go back to college then. So basically, even in my fourth year, when I got exposed to the kind of things you can do with technology, at that time, along with a friend of mine, we tried a new idea. It was called Pledge. So what we were trying to do is I used to volunteer with a lot of non-profits in college because I used to find that passionate. Like I thought, like if I can add value to some of the low-income folks, I would really feel proud about it. So I used to go and become a volunteer and teach English or some other voluntary course in some of the non-profits. And I realized that a lot of these places used to struggle in getting these folks placed after they give them training. So I said, can I create something like a Naukri.com, but for these non-profits? And that's when we kind of created this idea of pledge. This is, by the way, fourth year of college. So we applied to certain B plan competition. We got invited to one in Singapore. We won that. We got some seed money. Then we came back and we kind of coded a platform and kind of rolled it out. So like a very mini entrepreneurial journey essentially happened then, where you imagined an idea, imagined a vision, you essentially tried selling it to someone, raised some money, and built a product. I think after we graduated from college, obviously it became very hard for us to maintain it. It was a very, very hard way to maintain because I moved to Chennai because of ITC. All the other folks who were in Delhi were trying to run it. So we ran it for about 2 years, and after that, we gave it to someone else. But I think we tried one bit around this because we did not scale it up from there. I always felt that that journey was incomplete, right? In some or the other way. Okay? I don't think I have tried enough in pulling off something. So when I came to InMobi this time, and I think this time I got very high confidence of if these people can do it, then so can I. I got in touch with my co-founder now, Sanjeev. He was in Tokyo then. So he was in Tokyo, I was in India, and we spoke on call once, and both of us agreed that we want to try out a startup. But if you ask me what, at that time, we did not have any idea. We said we want to do something that can become very large. That's the only filter and some problem that we can relate with. Any problem that passes these two things is okay. Potentially can become a large company, and we should find that problem statement relatable. Like if we solve a problem, we know who are we solving it for. But after that, we had no idea. Both of us resigned. I resigned from InMobi. He resigned from Sony in Tokyo, came back, and then we started to kind of go after things that would be really inspiring. After spending a lot of time, we came to one single insight. And that insight was that the whole e-commerce 1.0 wave in India was mostly brands like electronics, smartphones, like branded fashion, white goods, selling to tier one customers. Everyone else was left out of the first e-commerce wave, every single one. None of the small businesses were selling online. Small businesses are like 80-85% of the entire retail GDP, and none of them are selling online. People beyond tier one cities are rarely buying online. So we said the same business model will not work for this. So do we take this problem statement of how do we bring this entire unorganized retail, all of these small businesses online? Let's take this problem statement. It is very hard, but if we make this work, this definitely looks very, very large. And because
And
we
that's
come
the
from middle
biggest, and
class,
that's the biggest opportunity of India.
exactly. And now I think having built this product for the last, like we started working on something 6 years ago. We pivoted. We started this business 4 years ago. And you look at it from zero to $5 billion valuation in 4 years. There's not a single company before us did that because the opportunity is so large. You can do it.
And you are actually still at the start of the opportunity.
Correct.
I mean, you're not a long way. You just started.
And I think that was the most exciting thing about it. We said, if this works, probability is small, but if this works, it will become so large that we will feel very excited. And second, because both of us come from middle class backgrounds, we relate with this problem. Like all my life, I never bought in malls back then. Like my parents never went to malls and bought these brands. We always bought from small businesses. My co-founder Sanjeev also comes from a similar background, bought from small businesses, but somehow no one was doing that online. We said this is not how India in 2030 will look like. When the real India comes online, small businesses need to be online.
Absolutely. And I think you said two very big things with it. That Sanjeev and you came from middle class. And the middle class values which you get from your parents and your family are the best values in the world in terms of frugality, simplicity, humility, hard work, honesty. I mean, all these things which you and me, coming from middle class, are taught are best. I think they take you to success. And the second thing, very big thing you said was that India's unorganized sector, if it can get online, it is going to be very powerful, because this unorganized sector is a very powerful sector. They really know what to do for the customer. They know what to sell to customer, how much to sell to customer, what is the right price. They know everything about the customer. They smell the customer morning and evening. so excellent. But do you agree the middle class values really took you there?
Yeah, and I was going to talk about it. I think very much. I think all the positive elements, and I'll also kind of talk about the element that sometimes hold us back, right? The positive elements, as you said, like humility comes in, but there's nothing to lose. Like where will you go down from? Like sometimes a lot of people never take risks because they always feel there's so much to lose. In our case, we were 24-year-olds coming from backgrounds where we don't care about it. We said nothing works, we'll go back and do our jobs. Very, very hardworking. This is what we have seen. Everyone around us since we were growing up, the only way you achieve whatever you achieve is by hard work. Right. So a lot of these middle class values shaped us in whatever form we did. And we felt that problem because we had seen a small business very, very close by. A lot of people who don't come from our backgrounds can never relate with that problem. Right. But I think the other thing that also happens is like how some of this hold us back. I still remember the first time I had this conversation with my dad. Okay, hey, I'm leaving my job and I'm gonna start up. My dad did not speak to me, by the way, for like weeks. Because and I still remember what he told me. He said he told me this कि यार तुम तो ब्राह्मण हो, ये बनियों का खून नहीं है, only बनिए कर सकते हैं business. How can you do this?
Why are you getting into this?
So like you won't be able to do it. Like that's what he told me on day one, right? Because and I think it comes from the fact that no one in my family.
Fathers are like that, you know. When I got a job, and my salary that time was 1,200, and this was my first job. So my father asked me. He said, "Is it they're giving you training, and also they're giving you 1,200 a month? Can you just check if it is 1,200 a month or 1,200 a year? I mean, they can't give you so much high quality training and on top of that money." So fathers really are like that, you know.
Correct, correct. And I think that happens, right? Because he cared about me. He thought that, hey, I'm trying something that no one around him have ever tried. Like no one in my family before us has ever started a business. Like both mom and dad side. Like there's no one. So to him, he said, like, there's no reason why would you make this work? Like no one has done this around us. And I think
So he
that's
didn't
what
talk to
happened.
you for many weeks, you said?
Yeah, he didn't speak to me for weeks. And I think after that, he just realized that matters to me for so much. He said, why don't you try now? But like his first reaction was, this doesn't make sense. And I think sometimes that's what happens, right? Like, and I think that happened because I had seen people around me who were like me who had done it, but he hadn't seen.
Yeah.
So exposure changes so much. And if you ask me when I was in school, maybe when I was brought up in Rohini, I would have felt the exact same thing. Someone asked me, why don't you start a business? I would have said, like, I don't think I would be able to do it because I've never seen anyone do it around me. So I think that ambition comes from exposure because my dad did not have that exposure. He never
But
seen this.
one thing more about middle class is that it makes you hungry for
Correct.
success. It pushes you to go for success, go for maybe new success. And that's what I love. All the young guys like you who are coming from small towns, small villages, Rohini, and all those colonies, they are very hungry for success, you know. That's very critical.
Especially when you're starting up a company, right? Like I still
Yeah.
remember we started up for 2 years almost. We kept starting something and shutting it down, kept starting something and shutting it down. Like for 2 years, nothing seemed to work. And the only reason we had perseverance, and by the way, like a lot of our friends from multiple places, from college and elsewhere, also started up around the same time when we started. Most of them gave up in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. I think that's also very, very important when you're starting a company.
So persistence and patience,
Correct, is very important.
continue and have willpower to continue.
Correct, correct. So failing fast, learning fast, trying fast is very, very important.
So
And
failing, falling, getting up, running again.
correct, correct, correct,
That's what
correct.
you did. You say you closed many businesses and opened the new ones.
Correct. And we kept doing this for like 2 years. Like a lot of people, by the way, in our place would have got demotivated and just left off and do something else. I think we stayed. We kept believing we can do this. We can do this. Even if it doesn't work, we will do this. We will do this. And sometimes just persevering during this time makes the biggest difference. Like a lot of people just give up too soon.
Absolutely, absolutely. And tell me, what kind of capital did you start with?
What kind of capital did we start with? So we,
Well, you must be having some savings from ITC and
yeah.
InMobi, etc.
So I think all the savings put together, me and Sanjeev, and he was working in Tokyo then, so he came back. I think cumulatively we kind of created this pool from all our savings about 20 lakhs, and we said, as long as this money lasts, we will try this out. I think that's where the expiry date put to this. As long as this money lasts, we will keep trying whatever we're doing. The day this goes over, we'll go back.
And finally, when did you get to the real idea of Meesho?
I think it evolved to that answer, right? And I think one thing that we stayed very consistent to from the day we started the company to today, even though we started in shutdown businesses, was we stayed true to this idea of bringing small businesses online or bringing unorganized retail online. The only thing we were not very clear of how was not very clear. What was very clear? Okay, this is what we need to do, but we will keep trying different things until we figure out how to make this work. And I think our first model was around creating a hyper local model of small businesses. That didn't work out. The second model was giving online websites to small businesses. That also didn't work out. But when we built this tool of online website for small businesses, we realized that a lot of women at home are using our tool day and night. So then what I did, I found a list of all of these women who are in Bangalore and are using our tool quite a lot. By the way, we built this product for small businesses, shops, but some women at home are using our app. Didn't make sense to me. So then I took their numbers and I called them up. I said, I'm Vidit from Meesho. I'm seeing that you're using our app quite often. You're in Bangalore. Can I come out to your place and understand why you're using our app? Because I don't know. We built this app for a small business. You're not a small business. So now I went to her house And I met like multiple of these women, and all of them have the same exact story. All of them have the story of, I'm a very ambitious and educated lady. I was working in a company, then I got married or I had kids, because of which I left my job. But I still wanted to fulfill a dream of mine, which was to start my own business from home, because I can still do it while taking care of the family. And many times that starting that business from home was basically a boutique, right, of selling fashion and other products to people in the community. Now she went to her husband or family and said, please give me some money so I can start my boutique. And then she will go back and ask for money, and she will get an answer which is no. She tried for years and years. She never get access to this capital. So basically what happened then, she realized now people are buying online. So if people are buying online, so why don't I use online? And instead of having inventory, I will directly connect with suppliers and do this. She had this insight. Now to sell online, she needed a tool. She went online, said sell on Facebook, sell on WhatsApp, because that's where my customers are. The only app she could find was Meesho. And she started to use our app. And I think that's when we discovered this insight. We said there are millions and millions of women in India who have a dream of starting a boutique.
There are hundreds of millions of women, very bright, very hardworking, with a lot of good ideas, a lot of good products or services, who can come to Meesho and who can go to the world.
Correct.
Through Meesho.
And that's the insight we got. And when we got this insight, we were like, this is our eureka moment. We just have to now capitalize this opportunity. As soon as that happened, we revised our product, started to just focus on women. And after that, everything is a history. Like it just kept growing like crazy. I think we did not spend a single rupee on marketing for the first 1 year. And we doubled every month. Month on month, we doubled without spending anything. Because the pull was so strong. Like the problem we were solving for them, no one had solved before. And there were millions and millions of women.
But this is the biggest problem of India, and I will say the biggest opportunity of India. The Indian women being so bright and so, because of the values, because of the ethics, because of the strong family background, they can do miracles if they're given an opportunity. And I think you gave that opportunity to them.
Yeah, and by the way, like we are very, very proud of this, right? Like, and I think humbled also to be part of a mission that has changed lives of so many women. I think even now, on a daily basis, we either get an email or a message from a user, and she will tell us that because of Meesho, her life has changed. Like she is now financially independent. She makes some money. Like her family respects her. Her mother-in-law respects her. People in her community does not know her of her as like Mrs. XYZ, but people call her as the owner of this particular business. Like she feels very proud. And I think that has changed like her life.
Oh, I'm telling you, Vidit, this is a huge social transformation of India. Because I'll tell you, if you look at centuries and centuries in India, our women needed this kind of a break. This kind of a break to be independent, being on their own feet, utilize their talents, utilize their abilities, which I think you have given them a platform. And I can tell you, more than billions of dollars, more than profits, more than anything else, this positive change you brought to the women's life is your biggest achievement of life.
I agree, 100%.
Because in life, one can make a lot of money, but this kind of change very few people can achieve. Because this is changing the bottom of our society, which has been kind of not static for last centuries and centuries. And I'm so happy you picked up this insight early on, and you met those ladies. Because if you hadn't met those ladies, you may not have picked it up.
Correct. I think that's another common pattern across everything. From day one, even when we started a first model that didn't work, Sanjeev and I used to do all deliveries ourselves on the bike and go to the customer and give the product. The reason we did it because we wanted to get customer feedback on the spot from them in person.
Absolutely.
And we did that for months, and we kept doing it because we wanted to get that feedback. Then we started to work with these small shops. We used to sit from day and night and observe these shopkeepers, how they use, like how do they work, how do they sell products to customers, everything. So I think that was like another pattern that has been consistent is we've been on the ground getting our hands dirty to understand the problem better than anyone else. Because once you do that, like even when we launch a product, and I think that's what we have seen, we've almost never had credible competition because no one understood this customer better than us ever. Like no one has spent enough amount of time on the ground seeing how some of these problems really manifest. I think that
Because
is
you were
also very
listening to them.
important.
You were listening to them. I think nobody listened to them. And I feel that it is not about 1 year or 2 years, it's about centuries. And that's why these women came out now, and through the platform, they are actually expressing their talent, expressing their abilities. And I can tell you, it's only a start. I mean, I believe that you are not only sitting on an opportunity, mountain of opportunity of small, medium businesses, unorganized businesses, but also a bigger mountain of opportunity of India's society like this women who will actually love to do much more. And I can tell you in the next 5-10 years, if these women achieve their full potential, your business can grow so many more times on the shoulders of these women.
Correct, correct. And let me tell you some of the other stories of the other side of the marketplace. So women are here selling products to people in the community, but on the other side, we have these small factories in some part of Gujarat, some part of like Kashipur, like hand weavers in West Bengal, who are making stuff and uploading these products on our app, and then people are selling them. We have seen so many of these very local businesses have grown to become very large because they were finally able to get access to the pan India market. They never had it, right? Because no one ever went to them. And I think some of those lives we have also seen transform so much. And I think that's put together, seeing a lot of these small weavers, factories, distributors, and here on the other side, millions of women changing their lives for the better and their family changing for the better. I think all of this is what is our fuel. I think every single day we feel so happy and proud about what we are doing because of this impact.
No, fantastic. Because these weavers, for example, were the best weavers of the world at one time. Textile was one of our biggest industries of India, exporting all over the world at one time, till the industry came in 200 years back, and a cheap cloth really overtook these weavers. And from that time to now, these weavers have been struggling. So I think why all India? I mean, these weavers should have a global market through you. And I will say that I will really encourage you to make it global for them, because let me tell you, their products are so good, so unique, so distinct, so superior that they can be global product range. You know, and I really love not so actually. Let me tell you, I believe after listening to you that a 5 billion company is a small achievement. This is a far bigger achievement. All the viewers of India, I mean, look at UP. Each district of UP as a state has a specialization. Somewhere brass, somewhere weaving, somewhere uh, some specialization. And if you pick up each district specifically of each state, UP is an example, I'm sure you will make them all India and you will make them global in matter of next 5-10 years. So these people who at the bottom of the society have been struggling for last maybe 100, 200 years, suddenly will be emancipated. And they'll come out in the open in their talent, the real talent. For example, carpets of Kashmir. Why shouldn't carpets of Kashmir, why shouldn't shawls of Kashmir be the biggest selling in Europe and US and other parts of the world? Why not? You know, through Meesho.
I agree. And I think that's the goal. I think India is just the beginning. And our focus today is on India because India in itself is such a large market. We just want to make sure that we do justice to this. But eventually, you want to take India's small businesses everywhere, right? Like, why should like not having access to the market be a problem? Like, we're going to solve for that. So, I totally agree.
So that means your growth trajectory, you were saying you doubled every month. So, so I feel that you can double every month for many years to come. If you take these entrepreneurs, small, medium entrepreneurs, women, men, young boys, young girls from each district, I will say that you can actually link it to specialization of every district. There are 750 districts of India, and you can link it to the specialization in terms of product of that district. And that will become big because suddenly each district will blossom into a big trading house.
Correct.
You know. So I feel you already laid the foundation of that in the last 5-6 years, which is fantastic. So tell me, how will you maintain this momentum of growth? What are you building systems? What are you doing to maintain? Because this is a fantastic momentum of growth.
Yeah, I think maintaining growth, and that's what we've been trying to do for such a long time, I think depends on certain key elements, right? One, I would say, and I think the most important is what kind of team do you build? I think the highest amount of leverage building the right culture happens when you have the right team. And I think that's one thing that both Sanjeev and I have focused a lot from day one, right? Like, I don't think we ever hire fast, but we have always focused on hiring right, right? Like getting the smartest people who are a very strong culture fit, the way we think about the company, who are inspired by the same mission and vision statement that we have, very, very similar values as we talked about, and people who are very hardworking, driven to kind of make that large impact, right? People who really feel proud about making change to so many women's lives. They can say, hey, I feel good that someone will not go through the same thing that either my sister or my mother did. I think all of those kind of people coming to the company. So building the right team is very, very important. Second is building a culture of taking big bets, building a culture of innovation, building the culture of like learning the same things that we did in our early days. How do you kind of build a culture across the company? So everyone again kind of thinks the same way. I think that has been very, very important for us. That's what we've been focusing on. I would say apart from that, a lot of that is just making sure that we invest in the right infrastructure, as you said, systems, because very important if you want to kind of build a scalable business. Right now, we serve, like I had posted the stat somewhere recently, 5% of Indian households, every single day come to the Meesho app, every single day, right? And interacting with these small businesses. Like we are talking about humongous scale. So when we're talking about this scale, unless you kind of build the right foundation in terms of processes, systems, infrastructure, like things break very, very soon. So I think a lot of these things have been very, very important for us. Investing in these right areas. The only way we've been able to kind of get to this scale is by investing in the right areas of technology. I think that's very important. Investing in technology of the future. Like for example, we've been able to kind of create a lot of value for our customers by leveraging machine learning, by leveraging data science on a platform. I'll give you one example, for example. So India, if you look at like the top 4 and 6 cities are very homogeneous. All of them are like that. People speak the same language, like we are speaking English. They eat the same stuff. They wear the same thing. As you go beyond the top 6 and 8 cities, everything changes. Very, very heterogeneous. Everywhere you go, people have different like dresses. People have different food. People have different languages, right? So someone opens the app and their taste is very different. The kind of language they speak is very different. So we've been able to kind of leverage machine learning to personalize experience for people coming from all pockets of the country. And I think that has been one of the big reasons of us scaling so fast. So if you open an app from Kerala, you'll be able to kind of see content that is only relevant to you so that you feel very, very comfortable and familiar with the experience that you're getting. So I think leveraging technology to build a product that is so pan-India. Like people say India is like so many countries put together because all of us have so many different tastes and different preferences. So building one app that can solve all of these problems and generally is very hard. So I think we've been able to kind of leverage technology to do this. So this is one example of investing in the like future of technology to make sure we can create very delightful experiences. So some of this have been very, very important in us maintaining this growth and essentially going out and serving everyone.
No, I'm so delighted by these 3 planks you mentioned. And I think this is a great learning for many, many other entrepreneurs. Number one, you said great talent. And so especially culture fit, which is very important. Talent has to bond with each other, work together, shoulder to shoulder. If talent is not culture fit, I think talent may not show its best skills and capability. So that's most important. Second thing, you said systems, which really help you scale up 10x, 20x. If the systems are not strong, architecture, foundation is not strong, you can't. You break down. And third, which actually is most important, because India changes, what people don't understand, especially foreign businessmen, investors, that every 50 kilometers India changes. I mean, in Punjab, for example, I'm from Punjab. If you look at Punjab, Lahore, Amritsar, Jalandhar, Ludhiana, Patiala, I mean, all these are 50 kilometers from each other, but they are so different from each other. You know, and same applies to Meerut or Hapur, or if you go at Dehradun, you know, each town is so different. They're not far away, but they're so different. So if you can get AI and machine learning to understand these differentials and adjust to vernacular, adjust to the local language, adjust to local habit, adjust to how they think and how they behave, I can tell you this becomes a hugely powerful distinction compared to many other apps.
Correct. And I think that's what we have done. And we've focused a lot on this because we knew, like from day one, we knew that we wanted to serve the wider Bharat, as people say now, right? Like people now differentiate, people call the top 6 and 8 cities India and everything else Bharat. I don't know what they do it, but people do it now. So we knew like if we have to serve this Bharat, unless we kind of build very strong like machine learning slash AI capabilities, it will be impossible. And we have seen that to kind of really help us out. So I agree.
No, you're absolutely right. When I led Airtel, I took Airtel to more than 5 lakh villages. And I was the first CEO in the country to travel to so many villages, sit with panchayat, sit with them, have tea, samosas and all that, and really see where the tower will be installed, established, which shops will be open, how to have a glow sign in a shop, which hotel will work in which shop, and all that, you know. So these experiences, the real India is Bharat. And if Bharat changes, which I think you are trying to change, then India will change and India will make a progress. So getting to 5 trillion economy and all those national goals which PM has are easy to achieve if Bharat is touched in a positive way. So I think you're really doing a fantastic job in touching Bharat. So today, what kind of customers do you serve in India, and what is your thought about next 5-10 years? What kind of customer base you can touch in coming years?
Yeah. So today, I think when we started off, we just focused on women. And why women? Because that was the most underserved market by far in India, right? So we focused on women, but women across all age groups and made sure that whatever women want to buy, we should be able to kind of serve them. Today, if you look at overall internet population in India, like 75% would be men, 25% would be women. And we have a large customer base. And even today, we have the exact opposite, 75% women, 25% men, because we focus so much on women. And I'm like super proud that today, I think we are by far the largest platform that women of the country use. Like you go to, I I go to now very remote places. I go to my like village. I go to some places here, uh, and people know about Meesho. Like all of the women in the household would be using Meesho, and I think that's what we focused on because we wanted to make sure that we serve all of them. Our goal next is to kind of become that single platform for everyone. So if you ask me today also, there are so many deep pockets that we haven't been to. Like India, if you look at like I think Uttar Pradesh is some 1/4 of India's population, right? Massive. But a lot of that population is still underserved, like very dark, not available to any of us because some of them haven't been taught how to come online. Some of them don't even have access to devices, especially women. They're not even given mobile phones. So I think there are a lot of parts of the country that we haven't been to. A lot of focus is to kind of go there. We've been focusing a lot on getting men on the platform, especially in these parts of the country. And I think we are seeing a lot of value even come from there now. Like a lot of them also want to come and find access to these products from small businesses. So I think that's how we think about it, the customer base. The other part, the other side of the marketplace, which is these small businesses. And I'll spend even some time talking about where we can even take help from like the larger ecosystem. So we have focused on bringing all small businesses, like any small business across any category. We've been building products and support systems so that even if you have never used anything online, how can you, with a very simple click of a button, upload a product, get online, start selling these products? We started with Gujarat because their people were more evolved. Today, I'm very happy to say, I think some 16 to 20 states, we have like thousands and thousands. In total, we today have 300,000 of these factories who are selling these products in across 20 states, and that number is growing. Our goal is to kind of go and make sure all kinds of small businesses can come online. But I think there we will also kind of need some help from the government. If you look at today, if you're selling offline and you're a small business, like really, really small business, and doing sales worth like 20 lakhs to 30 lakhs, you don't need to get a GST. And most kirana shops that you see around you, very, very small factories, very, very small shop that you see around you don't have a GST. But if you go online and you sell even one single product, you need to have GST. And I think that is the biggest impediment to getting the small businesses of India come online. And we've been
No,
struggling. We've
you're
been trying to
absolutely
bring
right.
awareness to this, and I don't know what to do.
No,
But
you're absolutely right. I've discussed this problem, genuine problem with government, and luckily I've got a positive response. Government's intention clearly is to bring everyone, all small businesses, all women, onto organized sector. Because the biggest problem today, if you see last 18 months, why did our country suffer during the pandemic time, is that we are the largest unorganized sector country in the world. We are 80-90% unorganized. And gradually, if we get it organized, I think India will change in a much faster way. Government in principle is very positive on this change. And any both online and offline should have a level playing field. They can't have differences like this. I mean, you can't treat offline customer and online customer differently because both are same. The same customer goes online and offline. So government in principle has agreed. Now we have initiated the process to change this, and I'm sure you will succeed sooner than later. But clearly, one thing you said, I also want to mention that UP, Bihar, Bengal, Northeast. If you see this north side of north and east, are very big on both your target audience, your TAM of small, medium businessmen, factories, and women entrepreneurs is huge in UP, Bihar, Bengal, Northeast, 7 states of Northeast, 7 sisters. Fantastic. You will find a huge response from them. Because I feel that whereas West and South in India have been well served by many of our e-commerce companies, online companies, but this part of North and Northeast, etc., should serve much more in the coming years. And you will see your growth curve will go up tremendously through these areas. So please do think about it. And what has been your experience of last 18 months of pandemic? What did you notice in your businesses?
I think we have noted so much. Like we have, as a business, gained a lot, and there's so many, I think, very strong tailwinds that we have seen in our business. And let me give you just one example. Like 2 years ago, we used to go to a small business and say, "Why don't you come and sell online?" He will say, "मुझे नया नहीं सीखना. मैं बहुत खुश हूँ जो मेरी दुकान में ट्रैफिक आता है. I'm very happy with whatever sales I do." Now, in the last 1.5 years, I haven't seen a single small business say that. Not a single one. Because now everyone realizes that if you're not online, then you're not relevant. Because a lot of customers still don't feel comfortable going out. So if you don't have a presence online, you struggle. So I think a lot of mindsets have changed for the better and for good. We have seen this so many times everywhere. We have seen small businesses from a Kashipur in West Bengal to a Banaras to like pockets that we never saw, like people have any intent of going online, right now want to figure out a way to go online. And that's why we have seen like massive growth in our business since then. Like about, we have a base of total about 3 lakh of these sellers who are selling on the platform, more than 2.5 lakh have come just in the last 1.5 years. So almost all of them. So it's been so fast because the intent has grown. So we have seen like lots and lots of positive effects for the business everywhere. Same on the demand side. People who were shy to try something new online, they were very, very happy to go offline and buy these products in a bazaar or a mall. Tried these experiences, really loved it. Now they do it again and again and again. And I don't think they can go back to the old ways of doing whatever they were doing. So I think all of us have been taught a big lesson in this, and companies like us have definitely gained here.
So pandemic has been a catalyst for you.
Big time.
And the digital behavior change of the consumer as well as traders, small factories, women has really dramatically changed in the last 18 months, which is great for you.
Correct. And let me add the other side of the story, right? I think what it also did, it also made our relationship with these entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, as well as small businesses much stronger. Because all of us went through really hard periods. And this was also a time for us to kind of make sure that we look out for them. So when the first lockdown happened, we realized that a lot of our small businesses, by the way, struggled because suddenly their supply chains are stopped. They're not making any income. They need to feed their family. What to do? And then they reached out to us and say, hey, I don't have anything to like feed my family, right? Like a lot of these problems happened. People ran out of money. All of that happened. At that time, I think we had a strong responsibility to take care of them, and we did it. Like we created ways of getting them working capital financing. We kind of made our policies very, very friendly. We said, we will not charge you any commission. We will give your payments well in advance, even before your delivery is done, and so many things. And we realized like a lot of these people survived because of everything that we did. And even when the situation has improved, all of them now know that the relationship with the platform is very strong. They know that if something goes bad, they are looking out for us. So I think that is another thing that really happened. I think all the people realize who is who, right? Like who's your friend and who's not. And that has made relationships stronger. Some platforms and some companies who did not take care of the people who are part of the platform, I think would not have enjoyed as much as we have, because people now really believe on the platform because they know like something goes wrong, they're there for us. They have our backs.
Because of that means because of your empathy, you have bonded much closer to the customer. And let me tell you, your brand has gained on admiration. I think the word of mouth is spreading because of this aspect, which is a great decision you and Sanjay must have taken. So tell me, what is your aspiration for future? What is Meesho future as you close your eyes and conjure the future of Meesho? What do you see?
Yes, so our future today, and we say our vision statement, by the way, is this, which is we want to enable 100 million small businesses in India to succeed online. If that has happened, we feel that we achieved what we started, like this company to kind of get started with. I think that's the goal. Like make sure whatever it takes to kind of make these 100 million small businesses in India come online, get organized, and succeed online, not just stay offline. And that, by the way, it's not a easy goal to achieve, right? It will require us to do a lot of things. Like today, we started with few categories. We've been adding more and more, but we need to go and get a lot more than what we have, right? We need to invest a lot in our ecosystem because the kind of problems they have around credit, around logistics, like around the kind of tools they need to manage this, lots and lots of things have to be solved. Like today, we have just solved like one part of the entire problem. The problem is extremely complex. But I think that's what we started with. We wanted to do something which is very, very large, right? Like, so I think that is the journey. But our goal is that if I talk about more midterm, what do we want to do? Our midterm goal is how do we make sure that we become a one-stop shop for all the next billion consumers in the country and come and buy everything they want, right? We started with fashion and lifestyle categories. Recently, we added a lot more in beauty, personal care, fitness, sports, a lot of that. We recently also launched grocery as a product category, which is very, very big if you look at these customer segments. But I think this is more midterm. Long term, we want to make sure that all small businesses in India can come online and become successful and they say कि यार मैं बस online ही अपनी आमदनी ले सकता हूँ, मुझे offline की जरूरत भी नहीं है. The day small businesses can say that, I think we have gotten close to what we wanted to achieve.
Now, that is a very admirable vision of 100 million small and medium businessmen to be online and not only be national but also be global. I can tell you, this is the only way to take these 100 million businesses across the world. I can dream that some people in Latam, somebody in US, somebody in Australia, somebody in Korea, they accessing products and services which are so unique from Kashmir, from Guwahati, from Gujarat, from Coimbatore, from all parts of India. And I think that dream is a huge dream. Now it may take you 5 years or 10 years, but I can tell you, you can globalize these 100 million. You can't do a bigger. This is the biggest job in the world.
Correct. Exactly. I think, and that's what it's inspiring, right? Like it's inspiring for everyone in the company coming every day and knowing that what I'm working towards will eventually digitize 100 million small businesses, give them, like, as you said, not just national, but global market. Like working for a vision like this, there's nothing more inspiring. You feel as excited every single day.
Absolutely, and tell me personally, because people like you and Sanjeev must have gone through a lot of ups and downs. You said you closed businesses, and of course, after Meesho started, and this etc. So how do you balance personal life?
I think I lost you for the last 5 seconds.
Sorry, I think we had. I just said that. How do you balance your personal life? How do you look very fit? How do you keep fitness? How do you balance? Because entrepreneurs like you need to safeguard their good health and safeguard family time, etc. How do you do that?
Yeah, I think, and I think that is one another mistake that a lot of people do. I think the reason I'm like as inspired and as excited and as energetic every single day is because I have certain passions that I've always made sure I have enough time for and I have enough time for family. I think that's very, very important because as I say sometimes, this is not a sprint, this is a marathon, right? And like working 20 hours a day for 10 days is not going to achieve anything. This is a 20 year 20-year marathon. And if you want to really win this, you want to make sure that you take care of yourself, take care of your health, all of that. So I think because of that belief, I've always made sure that I find enough time. So I exercise regularly, I read regularly, which I love. I play tennis, which I love. I spend enough time with my family. I'm married in Bangalore. So I think that's very important. Like just making sure that you give enough time to all of these things because that's what drives that long-term commitment. You have enough time to kind of focus on things that really matter. But yeah, that's what I do.
No, very well said. Because if you don't balance, you can't win the marathon. And your marathon is 100 million customers from India becoming global because family time inspires you. Exercise and tennis inspires you and keeps you fit, not only physically but also mentally. Because I believe that young entrepreneurs, and you're right, all young entrepreneurs don't take care of these some important issues, but I think your message has been very, very positive that they should take care, they should balance, and only then they will win the marathon.
Correct. And I think knowing that this is a marathon is very important. Sometimes people feel that, hey, just I need to just do this for a month. So let me kind of stretch very beyond. And then you keep doing this after some time, you burn out. And I've seen this quite a lot. Like a lot of people burn out in a few years and then they're not excited anymore. Like, how do you kind of win this marathon? So I think that's very important for all the new entrepreneurs to know that this is a marathon. So make sustainable habits and make sure that you take care of yourself and your family. Otherwise, it's very, very hard.
So thank you, Vidit. At the end, what is the message, last message you want to share with young entrepreneurs, young boys and girls passing out of IITs and IIMs and other schools, colleges all over India? Because this is the time for them. What is your message?
Yeah, I think I will say just one thing. I think if you ever think about starting up, if you ever think about entrepreneurship, I believe there's never been a better time to build than today. And I say this for multiple reasons. One is because of the pandemic, the market opportunity for all online businesses has suddenly become so large so soon. Right?
Yes,
So the market opportunity has become very large very soon for the pandemic. Second, like today, capital is readily available. Like even when we started, we struggled for a very long time. Today is not the case. So you have the right capital. You are seeing great talent does not want to join the old legacy traditional companies. They want to be part of the tech ecosystem now. So great people want to work with you. You have access to capital, and very large opportunities have opened up very soon. So the only advice I have is if you ever think about this, do it now. Don't wait for it. There's never been a
absolutely.
better time.
There's never been a convergence of technology, capital, talent, and market.
Correct.
No, fantastic. Vidit, this has been a very, very dramatic effort by Sanjeev and you. You've done a great job, and today's message which you left for young entrepreneurs has been delightful. So thanks a lot for your time. I'm so grateful to you for your time and these messages you've given. I'm sure many, many youngsters will learn from you. Thanks a lot, and I wish you good luck for that goal of 100 million. And whatever I can do to help you, to support you achieve that goal faster, I'll be delighted to do it.
Thank you so much, Manoj. I love this conversation. Very, very uh, natural flowing. I think it was a great conversation, and I'll keep taking your help anyways. Thank you so much.
Always, always, always. Thanks a lot, and back to Ankur.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kulian. Thank you, Vidit, and thank you for the inspiring and candid conversation that we've just now had. And thank you to everyone. Please have a good evening.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.